Greetings, friends. Welcome to this episode of Live with Perry Martins. My name is Perry Martins, and today I want to share something that is very important. Of course, everything I share is important. But anyway, how are you doing? Good day to you. So, over the weekend, I decided to go and pay a visit to a friend of mine who is a pastor who started a church. I felt the need to go and visit him. Moreover, I felt that I was led by God to go and visit him. So I get to his church. Sorry for that. So I get to his church. It's still a small church. A handful of people in the hall, and the hall they are using is the cinema hall. So it's costing them a lot of money. I think about $250 per month or so. I can't remember, $500 per month. He actually shared it with me. 500,000 naira or 250,000 naira per month, either of that. Now, so being with him, and I started sharing something with him that I feel is the message of this, is the gospel. I started sharing with him how I felt God is directing our generation, and I think that he should, maybe listen clearly to know what God is telling him in order to know how to move right now. But he wasn't buying what I was saying. And basically what we're discussing was about grace. So he feels that the preaching of grace is being taken too far, and people are teaching what he called hyper grace, or what they now call hyper grace, which is grace, the gospel of grace at the extreme, where there is no consequence for sin, because the consequence of sin has been taken away according to scriptures. So, and because of that, he felt that he was giving license to sin, and he has a personal experience where he encountered a hyper grace preacher, in quotes, and after that, he let loose of his self-control and, got into a couple of bad deeds, and I presume maybe, had sex, outside marriage. He's not married at that time, so probably whatever. Maybe it's the same experience I had, because I also shared with him my story of how I got to the point where I was tired of holding myself in terms of self-control. I was 30-something at the time, and I decided, but my reason for letting go of my self-control and just had what they call fun wasn't really because of hyper grace. No, it was because that I got to the point where I felt this entire living holy and righteous life I was doing, it wasn't taking me anywhere, right? Since God will still see me the same way he sees every other person, I just felt, what the heck, right? So, well, I'm not encouraging anybody to do that. But basically, I am talking about grace today, and that was our discussion. And when I got back home, I started thinking about what exactly is grace. And I think a lot of people do not understand what the grace of God or the grace of Christ is. And that is why people say that if you keep preaching grace, people will begin to take God for granted, or take life for granted, and then they will go in and begin to sin. So when I go home, as I was talking, the Spirit of God took my mind to what grace could be defined as, right? So imagine you are a poor guy, right? You're really wretched, living on the streets, you don't have a home over your head. I mean, this is something that some of us have been through. You don't have a roof over your head, you don't have food, you don't have work, you are literally, you don't have an education, you don't have any edge. You just came to Lagos, or maybe you went to London, and you are on the streets, hustling, eating from hand to mouth, probably just even, scavenging. You get what I'm saying? And in the middle of many years of living like this, literally living on the street, homeless, cobbleless, or penniless, and what? So in the middle of this, and trust me, this is something I've also experienced, right? So in the middle of this, you come in contact with a really wealthy guy. He's driving by and sees you in the dustbin where you are scavenging for leftover food from a nearby cafeteria or restaurant. And he drives by and he sees you, and he comes down from his car and he walks up to you to say, "Young man, how are you doing?" And you say, "I'm fine." "What are you doing?" "I'm trying to find food to eat." And he has pity on you. And in having pity on you, he says, "You know what? Follow me." He takes you to his home, his house, gives you water to take your bath, and his house is really lovely, palatial, building, a mansion. So he gets his servants to take you to the bathroom. You took your bath. They gave you new change of clothes, give you a 5-course meal to eat. He has a private barber in his house. They barb your hair or make your hair or dress you up, whatever. He has a personal stylist. The person looks at you, and then your life literally begins to change from that moment. Now, this guy keeps you in his house, or this lady, whoever it is, or this good Samaritan, keeps you in his house, and because you have been in the street for too long, he knows that you have to go through a period of reorientation, because he understands that poverty is a mindset, so he wants to get that mindset out of you. So after you have spent like about a week or so in his house, remember I'm explaining what grace is. After you had spent about a week in his house, or 2 weeks or a month, he gives you the key to one of his houses in the city, gives you about $1 million, right? And asks you to go and, start your life, start something, right? He gives you about $1 million, gives you a house, and say, go and start something. And then you are grateful, you are thankful, you are full of thanksgiving to this man or this woman, or and then you go off to go and start your life. Now the truth is, you go off and you squander the money in maybe 6 months. In 6 months or in 3 months, you had spent everything to the point of even selling off the house that he gave you, and you lost everything again. Now, what you didn't know is that when this wealthy benefactor of yours was sending you out, or was, sending you off with money and house, he knows that you are going to squander the money because you have not come into the abundance mentality yet. You have not learned how to create wealth, how to sustain wealth. So what he did was he put his guards, his agents around to be monitoring you without you knowing. So they were following you around. He had someone around looking out for you. So, but you, because someone has done such a big thing for you, by the time you lost everything, you couldn't get yourself to go back to them because you felt that they had done enough for you. So you couldn't even, you were too ashamed. In fact, you were looking at yourself and you were wondering, how did I get back here? How did I end up again in this place that I was about a year ago? How did I end up poor again? How did I end up homeless again, on the streets again? So in the middle of you thinking about your situation and how you ended up here, and too ashamed, even though when you were leaving his house, your benefactor told you, if you have any problem, come back to me. But at that moment, you don't want to go back to him because you are too ashamed to go back, because you felt he's done $1 million was given to you. So you were too ashamed. You went back to under the bridge where you were sleeping. You went back to being homeless. You went back to being who you used to be. But guess what? Your benefactor, you don't know that he sent agents. He put people around you to monitor you. So immediately they noticed that you were homeless again. They told him. They were giving him regular reports. So immediately he knew that you were homeless again. He drove by again, saw you, called you. Hello, Kelvin. What are you doing here? And you said, sir, it's a long story. And you probably started crying, or you even wanted to run away because you were too ashamed, because he had done so much for you. But guess what? He didn't care, because he already knew that you would fall. So guess what he did again? He said, no, don't worry. Come, man, come. Don't worry. What's going on? What's happening? And then you complained, and then you cried, you wept, you knelt down, you were ashamed. He said, come on, man, don't worry. And then he brings you back to his house again. Repeats the process over again. He feeds you, clothes you, puts you together, train you, and after about a month again, he gives you, this time around, $10 million and a better house, and sends you on your way. This time around, you go out and then you try your best, you try this, try that, you did a lot of stuff. At the end of the day, in about 3-4 years, you lost everything again. Maybe because this time around, you had learned a little bit, you lost everything again. And then, all the while, your benefactor has people around monitoring you. Has people around they are not necessarily monitoring, they are looking out for you. Does that sound like something you know? So after about 3 years, you lost everything again. You went down again. You sold everything, sold house, lost everything again. And you were ashamed of yourself. God, how did I get here again? Oh God, you were ashamed, you were crying, you were almost going to commit suicide, because you can't imagine that someone had given you $1 million before, now $10 million the second time, and after 3 years you lost everything again. So in the middle of you trying to jump out of a bridge into a lagoon to commit suicide, your benefactor drives by again. Your benefactor drives by again and says, Kelvin, what are you trying to do? Jump off the bridge into the lagoon? Why? You break down. You begin to cry. He says, what's the problem? He says, sir, I lost everything again. He knew that you will lose it again. But guess what? He's not worried, because he's your benefactor. He says, oh, my friend, come. He gave you a help. He said, come on, man, don't worry. I know. Don't worry. Come. So he brings you back to his house. This time around, he puts you on a this time around, he puts you on an investment plan. He gives you a trust fund. He gives you a trust fund, an endless limit of credit line, of not even credit, of money, and says, every time you fall, every time you lose everything, go to this place and take money. Sign a check, take money. Every time. Brethren, that is what grace is. That is what grace is. That is what grace really is. It's an endless surplus supply. Now, let me ask you a question. When somebody does that kind of thing for you, it will be difficult for you to want to displease them. Because even when you displease them, they're not interested to know the reason why you did it. No. They just want to get you back to a place of fullness. That is what grace is. Somebody might say, you are giving this guy a license to waste money. That is what you people are saying. Every time you say that, grace is licensed to sin. People are saying, grace is licensed to sin. What you're saying is that you are giving this guy a license to waste money. No, see, you don't understand. The person that is your benefactor is not interested in the amount of money you waste. No. He's not interested in the amount of money you squander. He's interested in you being better. Glory. Your benefactor is not interested in the amount of money you wasted or what you did with the money. No. He's interested in you learning in the process. Because the truth is, nobody, even the worst of people, if you consistently are good to them without judging them, they come into senses. It's called the lavish supply. The lavish supply of the grace of God. Christ has removed the judgment. It does not matter how much you sin or fall into sin. He's not interested in the amount of sin you have committed. No, he's interested in you coming back. He's interested in you. He's not interested in punishing you. That's not what God is interested in. Christ is not, because Christ has overpaid. And there's an endless supply of forgiveness. You are forgiven already. I don't even know how to put these in words. I don't know how to put them in words. God is not just like your benefactor who is not interested in the amount of money you have squandered, because he has an endless supply. God is not interested in the amount of sin you have committed. Christ has paid an endless. What is interested is in you being, because the truth is this: as you continue to be around wealth, you will learn how to become wealthy, because it's all about the mind. As you continue to be around grace, knowing that you are forgiven, you are redeemed, you are saved, there's no accusation, there's no curse. As you continue to be around grace, as you continue to stay around grace, as you continue to be around grace and stay around grace, you are changed. You are changed because you begin to know that I've tried all of it. There's nothing there. Because let me still use my wealth example to show you. This is it. As you squander the money, in squandering the money, you try this, you try that, you do this, you do that, you buy a yacht, you buy this, you squander the money by buying stuff. Do you know why billionaires seem to live a modest life? Do you know why real people that have real money, I'm not talking about all those people that wear gold chains and drive big cars. No. People that have real wealth, real money, a lot of money. People that have a lot of money, they are very modest people. They are modest people. People that have real money are modest people. So this is the thing. As you squander the money, you buy yachts, you buy this, you buy that, you begin to see and know that they don't satisfy. Ooh, glory. As you buy stuff with wealth, you begin to know they don't satisfy and that they are fleeting. Because by the time you buy the Maybach 2021, at the end of before 2021 finishes, 2022 has come out. So you will want that one because you're not satisfied. So it won't take you time to discover that there is more to life than trying to satisfy a want, a human need. It's insatiable. And guess what? You begin to go and talk to really wealthy people. When I'm talking about really wealthy, I mean people that are billions of dollars, really wealthy people. They will tell you that wealth doesn't satisfy. They will tell you because they have the money, whatever they want, they buy everything. Now that is the same thing. As you stay in grace, because the truth is this, let's even tell this. The truth is this, whether you are doing self-control or not, you're going to always sin. Whether you are living by the law, let's say you're living by the law, you will always sin. And what happens when you're living by the law and by self-control is that when you sin, your mind will be judging you. You will now feel horrible. You don't want to approach God because you feel that you have offended Him and that He's angry with you and that you are not worthy to come to Him, just as this particular young man who would squander the money of his benefactor and go back to poverty again and feel unworthy. That is how you feel. You feel unworthy. You feel unworthy. So the truth is this, everybody sins, right? But when you stay in the place of grace and acknowledge what has been freely given to you, the grace of God, and understand that it's an endless, lavish supply of grace, even when you fall, even let's say you even deliberately commit the sin. Let's say that you deliberately commit the sin. You know what happens? When you deliberately commit it, remember that your benefactor has his agents around. When you deliberately commit, the Holy Spirit, who is on your inside, will tell you, sure you don't do it, sure you like our being, but sure your mind, they prick you because you know that you have offended your benefactor. You wouldn't want to do it again because you understand, you know that you are you know that you are forgiven, you know that your benefactor doesn't count it, but you love your benefactor too well. I don't know how I'm going to explain this thing to you. So because you love your benefactor, because he has been extremely good to you, gooder than you, bad English, good understanding, gooder than all the people who have tried to be good to you in the past, you know that your benefactor is so good to you. You don't want to offend him. And the beautiful thing is that the laws have been written in your heart. So even when you offend, you know. See, let me share something with you. Because you know that there is abundance in your house and nobody is trying to stop you from taking anything you want, you don't take what you don't need. Do I make sense? Because you know you are in abundance. Because the lack mindset makes you to want to take. Because you feel that there is a scarcity. Because you feel that there is a scarcity, you want to take, and hold, because you feel there's a scarcity. But if you are in abundance and you know that there is abundance and you know that everything you want, you have, they are yours already. So you don't want to take what you don't need. Because they are yours already, they are there for you, they are there for the taking. So you don't take what you don't need, you only take what you need because you know that all of them are available for you to take at any time you want to take it. But it takes time to get there. But when you get there, you come into illumination. come into illumination, you come into a higher knowledge, illumination, you come into fullness. What Paul will say, we're becoming like Christ. You know the way when you will tell yourself, I've done that. There's nothing there. I've tried this, I've tried that. There's nothing there. You come into fullness. That is the grace. That is what grace does for you. The focus of God is not sin. The focus is you. You are God's focus. God is not interested in this sin. God is interested in you. You knowing that He's not angry with you. He will never be angry with you. He has made arrangement for forgiveness of every offense you would ever commit. He just wants you to come into that knowledge. Come into that knowledge. Come into the revelation of that knowledge. Once you come into the revelation of that knowledge, you wouldn't want to sin. You wouldn't want to misbehave. And even if you do, because you will surely do, either knowingly or unknowingly, even if you do, you know you are forgiven, so you will not be fidgeting, or you don't want to go back to God or come into God's presence or lift your hands in worship. I don't know if I made sense to you. So that is all I'd like to share today on the grace of God. On the grace of God. See you in another episode of Life in Prayer Martins. Bye.